everybody, Dan Illman, Ashley Mailloux, taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Sunday, August the 25th. It's race number 8 at Del Mar. We're going to throw up the field for the Grade 3 Rancho Bernardo handicap, 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. There's going to be a heavy favorite in here, and the number 5, Sweet Azteca, who's one of the better filly and mare sprinters in the country. She's coming into this race off 2 triple-digit Beyer wins, and none of her opponents have nearly run that fast in their careers.
And they've been just dazzling performances to watch. Even the race 2 back in the Beholder Mile. Obviously, she's gone 6.5 last time out and in this spot. But the Beholder Mile, we can't forget who she was able to beat. Adair Manor, which we know when we cover these races and Adair Manor's in them, Dan. I mean, it's tough to beat her. She's just so much class overall. So I think that says a lot about Sweet Azteca, and her abilities.
Trainer Michael McCarthy had the option to run Sweet Azteca at Saratoga against the likes of Vava on Travers Saturday. Decided to stay home. The Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint will be run, of course, at Del Mar this year. When we throw up the Timeform U.S. pace projector, and when the best horse gets the best trip, usually that horse wins. Sweet Azteca, the number 5, could be on the lead in a situation that favors front runners.
I think she will be on the lead. I don't see anyone else really having the ability to go with her, at least at 6.5. There are a couple other horses in here that have flashed speed in previous starts, and they've been pretty much just as fast as her. I just think she's just going to be so sharp from the gate, and really don't see too much of a challenge elsewhere. Maybe Anywho, I think that'd probably be the most likely one to press the pace in here, and she's tried to do that a couple of times in her career, but Sweet Azteca looks to maybe potentially be on the lead lonely.
Tom's Regret's been a very consistent Calbred. She's never been off the board from 12 lifetime starts. I thought she looked good returning to Pleasanton 2 starts back, beating fellow statebreds, but then they tried her against Open Company most recently, and she ran okay. She's odds on. I thought the trip was there for her. She was stalking. She didn't really keep up very well on the turn, and then she plugs along to finish second. She has a little bit more early speed than she's shown in her last couple of races, but with a horse like Sweet Azteca in here, I'm not sure you want to burn yourself out chasing that one.
No, and in terms of Tom's Regret, I think part of it, the trip was okay, but I do think the winner, Chancery Way, was sent out of the gate and maintained that position throughout and was able to draw clear. I would have liked to see Tom's Regret kind of eat into that margin just a little bit, and that wasn't there. But you talked about it 2 starts back. I thought it was a good effort. A very consistent filly. You can't knock her there. She gets a lot of, shares of things, and it doesn't matter the surface that she's been running on. I also just wonder here, what's the best case scenario here? Is she chasing once again? Does that put her sort of at a bad spot early on to be chasing maybe the likes of Sweet Azteca, the 7 on the outside? We'll see. I do think, though, when you go, say, 2-3 races ago, she could get a piece in here.
If the pace is hot, keep an eye on the 2 Kismosa, who won a graded stakes race on New Year's Day. That was the Los Flores, going 3/4 of a mile. She's a consistent late kicker. She often doesn't change leads in her races, but last time out in the Great Lady M, she was simply no match for Sweet Azteca.
She's interesting to watch. When she started as a 2-year-old, obviously, she was able to rattle off 3 victories. I thought last year, obviously, disappointing when she went 0 for 8. I do think she is better now as a 4-year-old. I think they've been able to get her to handle the turf, the dirt. Her performance 2 back was a very, very strong performance, but then I don't know what you do with her last out. Obviously, she had to face Sweet Azteca, who she has to face again, and she was well beaten in there. It wasn't like she was even close for any of the minors. So that race in particular is a little bit of a red flag for me, but on the same side of it, it was at Los Al. She's done a lot of good things at Del Mar.
Ascendancy is the number 3, and she's going to repeat the turf to dirt pattern that resulted in her stakes victory at Pleasanton 2 starts back. Now, that race was 1 mile and a 16th. She was an odds-on favorite. I thought she looked fairly strong, gutting it out on the outside to win. Turning back in distance could be a big problem for Ascendancy. Maybe she'll be outrun early and be left with too much to do, but she's a consistent veteran and maybe at a price can sneak into the number.
Yeah, the sprinting angle is a little odd, right? You look at her, she has certainly been a 2-turn horse regardless of that for quite some time. Her sprints are early in her career as a 2- and 3-year-old, and obviously her wins have come at 2 turns. So I have a little bit of an issue here with her on the cutback. I just don't, really see what sort of trip she's necessarily going to get. I guess she's probably going to be, closing from off of it, and there should be some pace here, but I'm not sure her stakes races going around 2 turns really stacks up to this field.
Maybe the 4 Vitalera will try to show a little bit of speed in this race, but her best races in North America have come on turf, including a win 2 starts back, going down the hill at 6.5 furlongs. Her race on dirt 3 back was okay, but she still was beaten in a first level allowance, a far cry from the class level of a horse like Sweet Azteca.
Yeah, her dirt figures are a little bit on the soft side, to say the least. I think when you look at her performances compared to what, say, the two or three top betting choices will be in this spot. I liked her turf effort though, too, back. I actually think she's a little bit better on the turf. I thought that was a really nice effort, and maybe the downhill is what she needs. But this is a lot to ask out of her. I think getting back on the dirt, sprinting on the dirt against this field. So for me, a little bit of a pass in here.
Sweet Azteca was beaten by Kismosa on New Year's Day in the Las Flores, but that was her first start off of a lengthy layoff. And since then, she has been on a tear, 3 consecutive wins, including this victory in track record time and the Great Lady M going 6.5 at Los Alamitos, where she's involved in a pretty hot pace from the start. And once she makes the lead, it's bye-bye.
She's been carefully handled as well. She just had that one start as a 3-year-old, now 4 starts now as a 4-year-old filly. 3 of them have been wins, and this is just a big performance. She's going to draw clear in here, and everyone else, when you watch it, the second horse is backpedaling in there. Daddy's Ruby and everyone else really isn't making up ground, and she just got such a big figure in that field, and it wasn't a fluke. Obviously, we talked about the Beholder Mile earlier. Thought that was a huge performance from her. That was going longer, but she was able to defeat Adair Manor. She screams class in here. I think she's the class of the field, Dan, and she's simply the one to beat. I don't even think she needs to be 100% or necessarily 90% to win this race.
Irish Wahine has won going turf to dirt in the past. She's going to hope to repeat that feat here, although no match for Sweet Azteca in the video we just showed. She finished 6th of 10 in the Great Lady M and is simply just going to have to do better. I respect her. She's won 11 times in her career, but she looks like a cut or two below the favorite.
Yeah, she actually finished in front of Chismosa directly in that spot when you're talking about the grade 2 of it. I would draw a line through her turf race last time out. I don't think she likes the turf. She's shown that time and time again. I just think she's more of kind of an allowance optional claiming horse for state bred, or she should be in some of the claiming races. She's shown that, and she's been a hot claim. She picks up a lot of checks. She's already a 4-time winner in 2024. I just don't think she's the level of the rest of this field.
Anywho completes the field, and she can be close to the pace on her best day. She's just been a little bit disappointing since returning to Southern California after a very promising seasonal debut over a wet track at Churchill Downs. Kismosa was better than her in the Desert Stormer 2 starts back, and then last time out in the Great Lady M, she just didn't pick up her feet, although she kind of was pinched and then rushed, and that's never an easy trip.
No, it's not an easy trip, and maybe you give her a little bit of a pass on that last race and draw a line through it. I think I have issues with the Desert Stormer, knowing that Chismosa's in this spot again. Tom's Regret also draws the inside in here. She's just a little bit of a hit or miss type, and you can go down her past performances and see that, and we'll see if she can regroup here. Not a lot changing except for a new rider. She is getting Juan Hernandez, which is certainly a positive sign in general when he picks up different mounts for the first time, and the barn's having a tremendous meet at Del Mar, almost 30%. But I haven't been the happiest with her last 2 from a betting perspective. So I found it tough to use her here, say, in the top 2.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Rancho Bernardo. Sweet Azteca just looks very, very tough. I don't want to have any money in against her. Maybe I'll try to get the 3 into the exacta with a bit of a late kick. You're going 5-1.
Yeah, I looked at this field, and obviously we're in the same camp here. Sweet Azteca is simply the horse to beat through and through. I don't think she needs to be at her best. When you look at the others, though, what's the case to be made? I was torn between Tom's Regret and Chismosa. Chismosa 2 starts back looked really great in the Desert Stormer. I just thought Tom's Regret, maybe having the inside in here, her consistency, maybe she is able to chase the pace and at least get a share in here. And very curious, like you, to see what the morning line is going to be in this field in terms of the other horses. When we did our handicapping, we don't have it. We know what Sweet Azteca will be, but what is everybody else? If you're trying to make some money in the exotics, it's really going to depend on that.
Sweet Azteca looks to take her next step towards the Breeders' Cup when she starts the heavy favorite in the Rancho Bernardo handicap. The race of the day for Sunday. Good luck.